So let's talk about chipping. How do we set up? How do we ensure we get good contact? And most importantly, how do we get it close to the hole every time? Let's talk about chipping. Now this is a simple little shot, in theory, around the green that's just away from the green where we've got to go over a little bit of trouble, but we can actually then run it the rest of the way. It's very often confused with a pitch shot. So a pitch is where we've got to go up and over trouble, so a lot more air time to ground time. This is the one where it is called a chip and run for a reason, where it chips up a little bit over this little bit rough ground here, and it's going to run in the rest of the way. Now, how do we set up to our chip shot? We are going to start with our stance. So stance for this shot in particular, we're going to make sure we've got a narrow stance. So I, like all my beginner golfers, all of the people I teach, I always use club head as a reference. So we're going nice narrow stance, club head width apart. We're then going to make sure that our ball position is towards the back of my stance. So you can see how I've got this lined up with this blue ruler here, and I'm using that as my guide towards the back foot. Once I've got my ball position in the correct place, I take my normal grip and I have my hands at the top of the club. Personally, I keep my hands at the top all the time. I don't go down too much. So again, personal preference. If you want to kind of shuffle up and down, up to you. All right, but I keep my hands at the top. So once I've got my normal grip here, I'm setting my club head, pointing that at the target. I've got my ball position. Now the big thing, the biggest thing in short game that you will hear me talk about all the time is center of gravity forward. Now what I mean by that is my center of gravity is my sternum. So I always think shirt buttons on my top, or your zip, whatever you've got on the day. This microphone is a good little marker. So we want this sternum, this microphone, to be leaning in front of the ball. So we're trying to get, you can see how now I've positioned my shirt buttons on my sternum in front of the ball over here. So I've got the ball position back and I've got my sternum or my center of gravity forwards. Once I've got that handle pressed over towards my front thigh and the butt of the club's pointing up to my front hip here. From there, you're probably asking, why is it so important to have your center of gravity forward? Well, let me tell you, it's all about contact. If we let our center of gravity move too far back this way, which is probably the most common thing we see in short game with amateur golfers, center of gravity creeps back this way, it means the low point of our swing is going to end up behind the ball. So it means you're going to catch the ground back here. Some people even catch it back here. So you can hit the ground here, all right, so you can duff it, it goes just in front of you, especially if it's in some fluffier grass. All right, otherwise what happens as well is we catch it halfway up the ball, and that's that really horrible one that we're all scared of, and it shoots off across the green into the bunker the other side, and we're now faced with an even tougher shot. And it has all come from your center of gravity creeping back here. We bottom out early, hit the ball on the way up. It's bad, bad, bad. So if you are going to remember one thing from this lesson, please remember center of gravity, shirt buttons, in front of the ball all the way through the swing. It never moves. It never goes backwards. If anything, it's going to go even more this way. All right, but always think center of gravity, forwards, forwards, forwards. Set up, narrow, ball position back, handle forward, center of gravity forward. So set up from down the line where you guys are at home. Now, what I want to make sure with my setup here is that I'm not set up as if I'm going to hit a full shot with this wedge. Okay, I've got a sand wedge in my hand. So this would be my full swing setup with that club. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to move the club in the same way as what we would do if we were hitting a full shot. All right, during a full shot, there's a lot more body turn, there's a lot more movement. So that's why we set up that way. We don't want that with a chip shot, all right? It's just not going to work. We're going to get poor contact. So to ensure that we're going to get good contact on this chip shot every time, we are going to move ourselves in a little bit closer. So where I would normally maybe have a palm or even a little bit more here, I'm going to bring myself in nice and close. I'm going to lift my handle up a little bit higher, and I'm going to lift my posture up a bit taller. So I've gone from arms hanging down here to in a bit closer. Okay, I've still got that same gap, but I'm now a lot taller in that setup. So you can see the shafts moved up taller. From there, we know from face-on view that I'm leaning over towards the left-hand side, but you can see how now my hands are up a lot higher, all right, rather than them sitting down so low here. And that's going to be our setup position. We're going to make sure our feet are pointing parallel to where my club face is pointing, and I'm nice and relaxed in this position. Now that we've got our setup for the chip shot, we're going to go over the technique from this face-on view. Now, what you'll hopefully see is now where I've got this handle pressed forward, my left arm, my lead arm, and that club shaft are almost a straight line, okay? I'm then going to bring my right arm in, my trail arm, and you should see a kind of a Y shape in this setup with my arms and that club. Now, what I want to do is I want to push that club away and maintain that Y shape all the way through the swing. So you can see how my left arm and that club still a straight line, and I've still got my right arm in that position here. Okay, what I haven't done, and this is what happens a lot, is I haven't just used my hands to hinge it away. All right, I haven't just lifted my arms and chopped down into it, and I certainly haven't shifted round here. I've maintained that shape, I've maintained my weight forwards, and I'm pushing this Y shape away. Depending on how far the shot is, depends on how far I take the club back. This is only a 10-yard shot, all right, so it's not too big a backswing. But I maintain my Y shape as I push back. As I come back into impact, you'll see I've almost returned back to where I was at the start. And then as I come through towards the target, you'll see how now I'm stood up nice and tall over my front foot, club's down nice and low, and I'm facing towards the target. So I have got to follow through. What, again, we see way too often is this is the dreaded one. The weight goes back, the handle comes up, the club comes up too high, and before you know it, we've either hit it thin or we've caught it fat. So make sure we push the Y shape away, weight stays left, come into impact, handles forward, weights left, and then as we come through, we are up and left or up and forwards. So we're setting ourselves up. In here, push the Y shape back, pushing it through, and we're finishing forward, getting that ball to release out to the hole. So once I'm in that setup, and again, we've seen from the other side how the swing looks from there. So we know that we've got this Y shape, we know we've got our handle pressed forward, and we know we've certainly got centre of gravity forward. So from there, we make sure that we push the Y shape, or push the club head, back straight along the ball to target line. Now this green line here represents our ball to target line. So basically where the ball points towards that target. So as I take the club head back, I'm trying to push my club head and keep it on that ball to target line as much as possible. All right, so you can see how the club head is over there and my hands are over here. All right, I'm trying to keep that club head outside of my hands, not letting them whip in here. That is another big problem for amateur golfers. If we let the club head whip in here, generally what's going to happen is we're going to come and we're going to have ground contact way too much behind the ball. This is bad, means you're going to duff it, means you're going to thin it, and you're going to be really inconsistent. So make sure we push that club head back straight along the ball to target line, keeping our Y shape. We then bring the club back into the ball, handle forward, weight forward. We then make sure we're now pushing towards the target and finishing up facing the target. You can see my back here. You can't see me leaning backwards at all. Once you've got your setup position, we push the Y shape back, make sure we push the body through to target. We're just getting that ball to pop up over our trouble, getting it to release out towards our flag. I hope that helped.